Hello, so we're just going to take a quick look at the changes to Skyforge before the Ascension update and afterwards. So first thing is the Ascension Atlas. This was the main pathway to unlock different classes, symbols, and just generally upgrade your stats. Then each class had its own atlas where you unlocked skills and talents for each class. This is the Lightbinder one. And then this is the Necromancer one here, which I was partway through. And then each invading force had an atlas as well. And upgrades to all these atlases were purchased via lots of different sparks, heaps and heaps of currency. So you had class sparks, you had coloured sparks, you had mechanoid sparks, reaper sparks, etc. All of those have now gone. Then this was how the order used to work. So you had provinces. Your adepts you would assign as patrons of each province, and you would also send them on a variety of different missions to earn all the different resources. So gifts, resources for enlightenment, ammo, supplies, all those things came from missions. And then within each province you had to build a temple, you had to upgrade the temple's rank, you had to build chapels and upgrade the chapels and select which one you wanted active. Then in the character page, abilities, you had skills that you could swap in and out, huge page of symbols, invasion symbols were here as well. And then equipment, you had a main hand and an additional, 3 trophies, 4 amulets, 4 rings, and your quick access panel. And a lot of stats, I mean a lot. And then this was the old progression window, which just basically showed you at what prestige ranking new things would open up. And then this was how you got into most of the different adventures. So all your squads, groups, invasions, open areas, everything was accessed from here, and the icons indicated what kind of reward you earned for completing it. So whether it was a different colour sparks, whether you had a choice of rewards, whether it was ammo or supplies or credits, etc. And then this was the inventory, which tended to be really full because you collected all the trophy fragments and resources for enlightenment here, and they all just sat in your bag. So as you can see, I don't have very much space. And here we have the new stuff, post-Ascension. So most of the character development, like the core upgrades to stats, happen here. This is now how you collect the equivalent of the gifts that your followers used to leave. You now just call up this screen and take offerings. You can take 10 each day, and then if you want to take more it costs Argent, so I don't really see why you'd ever do that. So this is the Temple of Deeds, where you upgrade your divine form. And this here is the Cathedral. Basically there's only one primary stat you worry about now, which is Might. You upgrade the Cathedral for credits, which gives you a boost to your Might. And credits are earned by doing pretty much everything now, so... Not that they were ever hard to get before, but now they're really easy to get. And then this is the Tower of Knowledge, which also upgrades your Might. Only here you're investing knowledge of enemies, which again is dropped from just about every mob you kill during any adventure. So you collect lots of that and then you transfer knowledge to this tower. And you can also do research for credits as well, and that gives you a boost to your Might. Next tab is Provinces. Now this is how you access all the different adventures that you're familiar with. So squads, groups, open areas are all located here. It's also where you find class temples. So in order to develop a new class, you find the relevant class temple and you take the quests from it and you go and do them in the relevant adventures. Here I've fully developed kinetic, so there's nothing for me to take, but here if I wanted to start working on the monk class, I would click receive quests, pay some credits, and it would start me on my way. And as you complete the quests you unlock the new talents and skills. Also located in the provinces are bastions, and these provide a pathway for developing symbols and also increase your might as well. And same sort of thing, you spend some credits to receive quests, go and do them, and it rewards you with improvements to your abilities and symbols. The globe doesn't have as much on it now, but it is the main way to access invasions, all the invasion missions, and also Flavius's laboratory, which is the replacement for the old invasion atlases. It's also where you get to your PvP battles, and the World tab just seems to have the operation priority at the moment, and it seems like there's only one at a time. Anyway, so this is the order screen. You're only allowed 8 adepts now, and instead of sending them on missions and getting all those different currencies, you just send them on journeys. Journeys take quite a few hours, and they can reward you with anything from credits to relics that boost the stats of your adepts to faith to other useful stuff. Equipment has also changed a bit. Now you have a main weapon and then you have an artifact, and artifacts can be used by any class. You've then got 4 different pieces of jewellery, 4 gems, and the usual quick access panel. Stats, you've just got might as the primary stat, and then a bunch of different multipliers that give you your other stats and determine things like range damage and critical damage and all that kind of thing. And then your list of classes down the side, same as ever. Bag, again, apart from colour change, looks pretty much the same. Much emptier now, though, that you don't have all those adept currencies and things in there. Map fragments are a new thing. You combine them and get a chest somehow. As you can see, on the valuables list, we have far fewer currencies than we used to have. No more sparks anywhere to be seen. That bottom one there is a feature of the Halloween event, which is currently going on. Abilities, you don't have a choice of skills to swap in and out anymore. They're automatically divided into PvE and PvP abilities. This is where you activate the symbols I was talking about earlier, that are gained through upgrading your bastions. And here's how it all comes together in combat. So they've made it a lot more reactive. It was always reactive before, but it's even more so now, with a lot more pop-up skills that just turn up periodically, mostly as a result of the new symbols. And also one of the coolest things they added is the ability to pick up parts of your enemies or weapons that they've dropped and then use them in battle. So here I've picked up a large flail, piece of a plant I think, which I can spin round and round and round for massive amounts of damage. That's pretty cool. There's all kinds of different things you can drop and you're never quite sure when they're going to pop up or what you're going to get to play with, so definitely fun to investigate those. And the loot containers are currently shaped like pumpkins as a feature of the Halloween event that's going on right now. This guy's also dropped some kind of weapon for me. What is that? Looks like another flail, but this is a big chunky one this time. Look at the size of that thing, it's huge. Okay, gotta go up and get the cache there, and then hopefully we'll go and find something to try this out on. They don't have a time limit, the picked up weapons, they just have a limited number of charges. So you don't lose them when you're out of combat or anything like that, you just keep carrying it around until you use them up later. I love doing that. This thing I've got here is another symbol called Iana's Sword. This ability will pop up if you do a lot of damage at the start of a fight. It behaves pretty much like any other thing that you would pick up off the ground. It's got a neat opening ability, if you like, where you can leap forward and smash down on something. It does quite a lot of damage, though it is mostly single target from what I can tell. And then when you finish with it, you can just throw it away, and it does a large portion of range damage as well. And you see here I've got some of those triangles from the previous fight, and I throw them in as an opening up. I love what they've done to that skill, where it now throws them up in the air and they hover for a while. Really enjoying the kinetic at the moment. That little flashing thing there, that's another symbol ability. It's you leave those behind when you dash sometimes, and any enemy that walks close to it, it will cause it to explode. As you can see down the side, I've got quite a few extra quests in this particular adventure from what I would normally have, and that's as a result of quests I've picked up from Flavius's laboratory. So completing those will give me some progress in the invasion side of things, so strengthening my character against this particular invading army.
Dangerous fauna detected. Probability of suffering physical damage has increased by 14.7%.
One of the cool things about getting all these extra quests to do within adventures is it changes how they work a little bit. So there's an object here that I have to scan this time, and when I scan it, it starts spawning lots and lots of mobs, and it can actually be quite challenging on some of the ones I've done to survive against all the waves, because they seem to get stronger and stronger and more of them. It's also a great time to try out some of the weapons that they drop, as you'll see in a moment.
Compiling status report.
He's dropped a big flail for me with a flower on the end. Isn't that nice? Oh, there's another one there. Might not get time to pick that up though. They only stay on the ground for a certain amount of time. Oh no, got that one as well. Excellent. So while you're holding one of these items, you can't use your regular class skills, but you can still use symbols. Items you pick up have a set number of charges. Some of them are single use, and others you can use until the number of charges reaches 0. When it gets low though, you have the option to just throw the item at your nearest target. It destroys the item, but it's also a quicker way of getting rid of it than if it actually runs out of charges, because if it runs out while you're using it, then you're out of action for a few seconds while you put it down on the ground and resume normal combat. So if you can remember, you're better to actually throw it at them before it runs out of charges.
Mission successfully completed. Switching to combat mode.
You'll get to see the Iana's sword ability a bit better here. So as you can see, at the start of the fight I did lots of damage, and so it popped up for me to start using it. The left mouse button does a single target melee swipe, and the right mouse button launches you towards the target like that. That is an AoE, I think. So same as any other weapon you pick up, it's got a limited number of charges, and when you get to the end, you either have to put it down on the ground or you can throw it and explode it. Frame rate not too great there, but it's just because I'm recording. This is a whip I've got there, which is a slightly peculiar item. Not so great for damage, but if you hold the right mouse button down, it actually creates a shield, but it's like a channeled skill in that you can't attack while you're using it, so not too sure how useful that would be. This guy is something to do with the Halloween event. I really should read up on what that's all about. So he just came out of nowhere and gave me candies, which was kind of nice of him, but he did attack me first, so
A rare species of
yeah, not sure about that one.
dangerous carnivorous mushrooms have a unique scent. Try to enjoy it before you die a painful and inevitable death.
On the whole, I feel like the difficulty is not quite as hard as it was, but I think that is because I had a lot of unspent sparks and things when the update hit, and so I've gained like double the prestige I had in one go, and so I think that's why I'm finding it a bit easier, and I imagine over time as I unlock more difficulty levels of each mission it will get harder again. I might be wrong, but I think that's what will happen. I hope so, because I did enjoy how challenging some fights were
Dangerous
previously.
neutralized.
It's nice to have to really think about what you're doing in a game for a change. So having done those quests, I've now made some progress in Flavius's laboratory and unlocked the first of those green ones there. If I click receive quest, it will give me some more, which will allow me to work towards the next one, and so on. As you can see, there's quite a lot to be unlocked, so lots to do. No doubt there's a lot of mixed feelings about this update. I'm still so new to the game that I wasn't particularly attached to how it was before, so I'm just going with the flow.